All right, family. We should be live. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Epic show tonight, y'all. Epic show tonight, y'all. So get comfortable. We're gonna be on for about an hour. Yeah, big things going down real soon in this realm. So we are definitely getting prepared and we're getting the downloads from these amazing teachers that's all over the world right now. Let's get to a quick commercial, family, and we'll be right back after this quick commercial from my brother King Simon.
The legendary Professor James Smalls come to Atlanta, Georgia for 2 days. April 6th and April 7th. You don't want to miss it. He's doing a public and a private event. Text me right now at 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. The legendary Professor James Smalls, as you've seen him on Hidden Colors and all the rest of the documentaries. Make sure you go to my Linktree at Linktree/King Simon the Numeral Beta. Professor James Smalls in Atlanta, April 6th and April 7th.
All right. Without further ado, got to bring back to the platform my brother BDell. What's good, bro?
Peace. Back in the Madison Square Garden of consciousness. We back in here.
Indeed. I'm leading the point. I'm leading the point as usual. Hey, man, it's good to have you on here, brother. You've been talking about this Eclipse. Couple of shows you brought it up here and there, and I'm thankful to. I'm thankful to have a real solid conversation tonight about it. I seen your last video on your channel, and it was awesome. I advise everybody to go to BDell's channel. What's your YouTube channel, brother? I want the people to go over there.
It is BDell 1014. It's the same as the title at the bottom.
Okay.
BDell 214.
So BDell, so one of the interesting things I didn't get a chance to talk to you about yet in terms of the solar eclipse that has been talked about a lot all over the internet, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, is this Devil's Comet.
Okay.
Now, this is something that I guess visits Earth every 71 years. So I guess I'll ask you about the importance of that number, being that we all into the numerology and gematria and all that now. And the last time it was around, they say it visited our solar system. I think it was when Queen Elizabeth, during her second coronation, and it will return back to our solar system in 2095. A lot of people are speculating on the internet. They're actually saying, and this is pretty interesting, that the moon is not really eclipsing the sun that day, that the moon is somewhere in Pisces or somewhere, they said, and it's another planet that's going to be eclipsing the sun, but it's definitely not the moon. And they saying if anybody really is into studying whatever that called astronomy, you would know that the moon's not really eclipsing the sun. This could all just be internet talk and people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I got to bring it up to you, my brother, because you are well studied in this area, and I like what you've been talking about with this subject. So just to start out with what I said and what's being said on the internet, it's not really the moon. It's the Devil's Comet. The fact that it comes every 71 years, and yeah, we can start from there. BDell.
Yes. Well, the Devil's Comet has a 71-year cycle. So with that being said, this Devil's Comet is actually going through Aries. Aries is also the symbology of the Lamb. So the Lamb is also connected to Revelations chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. So that's talking about the Lamb opening up the seventh seal. So when the seventh seal opens up, there's supposed to be a resurgence of a certain energy on the planet. So that Devil's Comet is also traveling at a velocity magnitude at 6.66, which is also connected to the form of 666. So there's a multitude of ideologies that surround the aspect of 666 as well. But this Devil's Comet, some people say that the moon, the moon and the sun is working in tandem to create this eclipse or whatever, but I also hear about things. It's basically the resurgence of the black sun, which is basically the womb of creation. So it's one of those things like the sun, the black sun inside the planet is actually the supersonic battery that gives activates the seismic activity on the planet as far as when you're talking about the New Madrid fault line. So now when you go to 1812, which is when the Devil's Comet was discovered, that is also the time when you had the New Madrid fault line was activated in 1812, right there in the same center point where the solar eclipse is going to be taking place on April 8th. So it's one of those things where, like, you having a multitude of celestial phenomenon happening at the same time, and it's based on numerology, biblical context, quantum physics, metaphysics. It's all about the science of circumology to understand a multitude of things to get one truth. So it's a whole bunch of things happening at the same time. But what's going on right now.
One thing that Bobby Emmett used to teach in his occult studies is that once civilization is conquered, the first thing that the people do who are conquering other people is they take their religion and turn their gods into devils.
Mm-hmm.
So they turn their gods into demons and devils and make everything that they did evil. So being that they're calling this comet the Devil's Comet, is this a trick that they've been using for thousands and thousands of years to throw us off and make us not pay attention to it?
Yeah, it's actually one of those things where they try to put a negative connotation that's connected to who we are on a metaphysical level. So when you talk about the Devil's Comet, as I was telling you, it's traveling at a magnitude of 6.66. So 666 is also equated to the carbonated man and the woman when you're talking about 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. Mm-hmm. So this energy that's coming in, when you have ether that's basically penetrating the dodecahedron that activates the magnetic field of the planet, it activates the magnetic field of the carbon body as well. So just as the planet is being activated with this new green Ethereum energy that's coming in, because anything that's connected to the color spectrum of green is based on ascension, is based on evolution. It is based on reversing the polarity of everything that's being propagated by a negative frequency. So what I'm saying is like one of those things. Green is basically the embodiment of, alignment. So like I said, it's not a coincidence that, when you study the Sufi order of the Sons of Green Light, that is basically the epitome of activating the spirit of Melchizedek. So that Devil's Comet could be one of those things where it's actually activating us into where so much to the point where they know it's going to take place. So they put a negative connotation to it to where it makes us afraid of these new energies that's hitting the planet, because they don't want us to reap the benefits of these energies that's coming in.
Now, wow, very, very interesting. See, this is why I'm talking to you, my brother. Now, in terms of this, big debate, BDell. Should we go outside? Should we look at the eclipse? A lot of people saying we shouldn't. Should we wear glasses? Should we look at it with our eyes? Some people say it seems anti-nature. It almost seems like it's anti-nature. I highly doubt. Like, I don't know whether we should look at it or not. I'm gonna follow my intuition, but I highly doubt this, BDell. I highly doubt 15,000 years ago our ancestors was going to the local store to get some damn 3D glasses to observe the eclipse like we're doing in 20. I know. I if I'm a betting man, I'm a bet they didn't do that. So what's your thoughts on whether we should look at it, whether we shouldn't? What's your thoughts on that and what our ancestors say about that?
It's one of those things where you really can't escape the energy anyway. So whether you're looking at it, whether you stay in the house or were you out in the crowd, it's one of those things where there's going to be an influx of energy. So you cannot escape what's going to be taking place. You can't escape that energy. So whether you go outside or look at it, I don't think it really matters. I mean, as far as like, looking at the solar eclipse, I would recommend you like just be at the crib or something, or just go to a sacred space, as far as like maybe like an ancient site to maybe look at it and ground yourself to where you can connect with the planet, to where you can get those energies, and also fast during that time period. Right. So you're gonna fast from food, fast from alcohol, fast from sex, and transmutate that energy into a form of alchemy to where you can use that negative energy as a positive energy. So you can reap the benefits of everything that's coming in from these new energies from the solar eclipse. So it's one of those things where you want to open yourself up to where, you can get the influx of energy. So whether you're looking at it, whether you outside, you can't escape the energy at all anyway.
Everything has a energy signature to it. Everything has a vibration, numerology. Each number has a vibration. Each alphabet has a vibration. Me and you did a show where we talked about the power of the letter X and how various corporations use the letter X for whatever reason they may want to use it for. Do you think we should incorporate that letter somewhere in our life that day, whether it be a ritual, whether it be an altar, whether it be a shirt, whether it be a drawing? Should we incorporate this letter X somewhere in our life that day to kind of incorporate the vibratory signature that it may carry? It may be extra powerful that day, you think?
Yes, because everything, when you're talking about living in a simulation, there's a dualistic principle that operates on positive and negative. So just as much you have negative channeling, you have positive channeling. So when you go to 1904, Aleister Crowley, on April 8th, he channeled an entity called AWAS. AWAS is an extraterrestrial entity. And during that time period, when he was in contact with that entity, he told him to draw the letter X in order to create this phenomenon to get these energies so he can have a certain intelligence to propagate a certain occult knowledge. So the same thing actually takes place on a positive aspect. So I think that we should, get your crystals out. Get your crystals out. Get some cinnamon. I think it's called selenium cinnamon. Get into some water in some jars and stuff like that. Do some type of anything that's ritualistic, that so you can basically connect. Anything that puts you in that vibration, I think is one of those things where you can also reap the benefits of those energies as well.
What do you think? Do you think it was some type of conspiracy of when we were young? If this letter has so much power to it, when we got something wrong, we always got an X on the test. Whenever we did something wrong, they put an X on it. So subconsciously, when we got older, this means something wrong to us because it was always an X when we did something wrong. Do you think that was by design, BDell?
Yeah, because everything is, there's a negative polarity to everything. This just like the number 13. The number 13 is actually synonymous to who we are on a spiritual level, but they look at it and they put a negative connotation to it, like Friday the 13th is supposed to be a bad day. So the same thing takes place as far as like when they grading our papers and things of that nature, putting an X over anything that you get wrong, so to speak. So I think the same thing actually takes place.
No, indeed.
So also that X is also an ancient Hebrew Tav symbol.
It's an ancient what now?
It's called the ancient Hebrew Tav. And it's also like the X of the solar eclipses is also creates the symbol of anarchy. And the symbol of anarchy is also synonymous to the Antichrist sigil as well. So there's like, as I was saying before in one of my videos, you got two different timelines taking place. You have a cosmic clock timeline, then you have a biblical context timeline that's taking place. But the biblical context under patriarchy, you have a certain demographic trying to write their way into prophecy because their time is running out because of the influx of energy that's activating the cosmic clock.
We know who you're talking about. You ain't got to say. We know.
Yeah.
We know exactly what you're talking about. Indeed. And that's connected to the red heifer. You was talking about that.
You have the red heifer because the red heifers, they got to be sacrificed before April 10th. And that's also the same time when Aleister Crowley, when he channeled that entity called AWAS, which is another nomenclature title for AI, he channeled that entity and he told him to draw an X, and he had to use that ritualistic energy anytime between the days of April 8th and April 10th.
Yeah.
Same thing actually takes place as far as like the red heifer sacrifice. Damn. Because they're basically trying to usurp the energy from the solar eclipse, from the Devil's Comet to bring about their false messianic figure.
Right. Do you
because
see
the Devil's Comet that's green Ethereum energy coming in. Anything that deals with the color spectrum of green is a form of intelligence.
Indeed. Any deity we should think of specifically to give us some type of context with the color green?
Melchizedek, Tahuti, Thoth. They're basically all synonymous when you understand the mythology of different ancient, publications and things of that nature.
Right. Melchizedek, isn't that like another version of Tahuti?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I got, remember I think I emailed them to you the order of the Melchizedek rituals on how you supposed to receive a certain intelligence to where it connects you to that the Sufi order.
Thanks for reminding me, brother. I didn't even get a
Okay.
chance to look at. You sent it the PDF form, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. I damn. Thank you so much for reminding me. Let me ask you. You mentioned the word earlier, dodecahedron. I think it was Plato who said. Was it? I think it was Plato who said, if you look at Earth, and I asked Billy Carson about this. Plato said, if you look at Earth from up above, like say if you was up above Earth, the shape of it is a dodecahedron. So
Yeah.
there's so much talk about it being a globe or it being flat. What's your thought on what Plato said? Like this Earth is the shape of a dodecahedron. It's not flat or it's not round. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's well, it's a the decahedron is a the decahedron is a form of an energetic morphic field all around the planet, and that dodecahedron is basically the quintessential alchemical element. That is basically the fifth element that merges in with the magnetic field of the planet. So that energy that's coming in, that Devil's Comet, that gamma radiation that's coming in, that's an influx of energy to activate the magnetic field of the planet and activate the magnetic field of those who have the carbonated genetics. So that's why during that time period of April 8th, they're going to activate the CERN machine, right?
Yeah.
So now that is basically in conjunction to who we are, because everything in westernized technology is emulation of who we are genetically, because the carbonated man and woman are basically walking and talking CERN machines. Because we have quarks, we have leptons. Quarks is comprised of protons and neutrons, which creates neutrinos, which are Holy Ghost particles that basically amalgamates with the lepton, which is the electron. So that is the sigil of the 666, which is connected to the Lamb. The Lamb opening up the seventh seal in Revelation chapter 1 and 2, when it says the Lamb, when the Devil's Comet goes through Aries, which is the Lamb. The Lamb is symbolic to who we are, the non-ether beings, right? So that is a form of activation when you're talking about opening up the seventh seal, because the seventh seal is the scroll of all. The scroll of all is the 7 tablets of destiny. The 7 tablets of destiny is your 7 energy cortexes that's connected to your endocrine system. So it's not a coincidence that Chiron is also in alignment with the solar eclipse as well. And that when you look at the sigil system of Chiron, it looks just like a key. It looks just like a key. So the key of the 7th seal being opened by the Devil's Comet going through Aries, which is the Lamb, is going to cause an activation, right? It's going to unlock something within us. So that's why it's very imperative, you know what I'm saying, for people to do something ritualistic, do something spiritual during that time period. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes just sit in the bed and do nothing, and just, you know, reap the benefits of those energies that's coming in. Just open yourself up, because this is a time period where we're going to be unlocking something within ourselves.
Wow, man, the way BDell, the way you say it, this just sound good like a mud, boy. This is oh man, this just sound powerful. What's your thoughts on the last week? I heard that because there's so much solar activity going on, that the northern lights was actually going to be visible all over the country last week. But it just so happened it was raining cats and dogs in Atlanta where I was at. So it was cloudy on the day that they said the northern lights would have been visible. But what's your thoughts on what's going on with the northern lights, man, since we're talking about these colors, man?
Oh yeah,
I want to visit Iceland, man. I was telling the people that but go ahead, brother.
That's it's being created by way of ionization. You got these green frequencies that's coming in, but it's going to come in time where the northern lights is going to be visible all around the planet. Because like I said, Greek ether is one of those things where, as I was telling you before, you got the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which is equated to the 4 basic elements: earth, wind, earth, air, water, and fire.
Right.
So when you have green Ethereum energy collaborating with those 4 basic elements, it can cause creation and it can cause destruction. So the same thing is actually taking place when you're talking about the Aurora Borealis. That phenomenon in itself, you got green frequencies coming to the planet. And it also works in tandem with the heart chakra, because I was telling someone before, it's not a coincidence that the color spectrum of the heart chakra is synonymous to the color green.
Right.
So that, like I said, it's a form of activation. So you got to be tapped into the love frequency in order to reap the benefits of everything that's coming to the planet.
Damn, we keep going back to this love frequency, BDell, and I guess that's super important with all of these downloads, brother. And it's unfortunate because that seemed to be what's missing the most out of a lot of people these days. So, do you think that, for those who may not be tapped into their love frequency, will this eclipse boost the love frequency in all of us, or you have to already be tapped into the love frequency to reap the benefits of this eclipse?
It's one of those things where this eclipse is going to cause a cosmic convergence, which is going to be the precursor to a harmonic convergence. So as you have the resurgence of this false messianic figure, when you're talking about the red heifers, you also going to have the resurgence of the 144,000. The 144,000 is basically a convergence of a multitude of consciousness that basically manipulates the space-time continuum. So as I was telling you before, the heart chakra in itself is a fractal interstellar vortex portal. So just when you tap into the love frequency by way of a cosmic convergence, you can manipulate timelines, you can collapse time, because we are basically trapped in time and subjugated under time under the three-dimensional paradigm, which basically subjugates the love frequency. So now that the veil is being lifted, because now due to the precessional movement of the equinox, now we're transmuted into the star Polaris. The star Polaris is giving an influx of these energies to the magnetic field, to the dodecahedron. These devil comet is coming in. It's all ether. That's the love frequency. So love can only reverse the polarity of everything that's being propagated by the plutocracy. That's the only thing that can combat the energy. That's the only way you can manipulate the simulation in itself.
I want to take a break from my questions because I want to ask this question. I think this is an important question. Assistant in the chat is asking it. Goddess Imani wants to know how to know. And I want to add on to this. I like that you asked this question. I think a lot of people need to hear this right now. How do you know if you're tapped into the love frequency, BDell? How do we even know if we're tapped in, my brother?
The best way to know that you tapped into the love frequency is when you understand the art of detachment. Because when you understand the art of detachment, that means you love yourself intuitively enough to the point where you don't need external stimulation in order to reap the benefits of love, because all those things are based on an artificial construct. So that's, in my opinion, like I said, anything that's connected to the energy of emotions that's not in alignment with logic is one of those things where it can basically subjugate you in a form of toxicity. So the best way to tap into that love frequency is the art of detachment. Detach from everything that basically haunts your energetic frequency, whether it's a form of food. Like I said, anything as far as like, best way I can explain it, you ever seen a person love something so much to the point it basically destroys them? Like a person that loves food, they become obese. So like I said, you got to understand the art of detachment to where you deviate from external forces to where everything is basically within.
Right. To me, love. One thing I realized with the whole love frequency thing, and when I know that I'm tapped into it, is that it's something that BDell is something that I'm willing to. I guess love reminds me of death in a way. It reminds me of death. It's something that I'm willing to die for. So I remember, so like me doing what I do now, I'm willing to leave this realm because I love doing I love doing this so much. So whatever consequences come with this, I'm willing to accept it because I love doing this so much. My son, I love him so much, I'm willing to accept the consequences of leaving this realm if need be. When it comes to music, I'm willing to accept whatever comes with it because I love producing and learning and about music and frequency and tones. Whatever happens with me learning that, I'm willing to accept it and leave this realm because of that. So a lot of the things that I love the most, I've realized that I'm willing to leave this realm for. So it almost reminds me of death a little bit. And I hope that made sense. You know what I'm
That
saying?
makes a lot of sense, because a lot of this stuff that, because you felt like you're in a form of completion. You completed everything that you needed to do. feel like the work has been done. So now you can feel like you at the apex of an energy to where you can basically put your state in the self in a state of evolution.
No,
So
indeed,
you go to the next level.
indeed. Somebody said F love. I mean, hey man, if you feel like that, you gotta evolve at your own rate.
Right.
That sound like hurt and pain to me, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
That sound like I know you would want your mama to love you. You would want your mama to love you, my nigga.
Right.
Shout out to Chris though. Shout out to Chris. Yeah, I know you said you're joking. I'm just messing with you, Chris. Somebody's asking why is NASA going to shoot a rocket at the eclipse?
Yeah, they're shooting a rocket at the eclipse. They're shooting a second one at actually at 3:22 p.m., which is also synonymous to the skull and bones numerical sequence, which is 322.
Right.
So it's not. So all this stuff is not a coincidence. All the synchronicities, all the numerical components that's acclimated to the simulation, it's not a coincidence that all this stuff is taking place.
Indeed. This is actually my next question, y'all. I was watching a video about how do you say this word? I know he misspelled it. Cicadas. Yeah, cicada. What's up with them reemerging? What they reemerge every 80 years or something?
They reemerge. Well, they're basically, it's another title for locusts. They reemerge for every 17 years. So, like I said, you have the resurgence of the Devil's Comet every 71 years, and then you have the Seneca's resurging 17. So what's basically a mirror flip. So that's basically the symbology of the fact that we're starting to merge in dimensions. So because all this stuff is, like I said, they basically symbolize a hidden truth that's been kept away from the planet for 1,700 years.
And what's that?
That's what the ether, that's what these new energies are coming in. Because like I said, when you study, all ancient mythology and stuff like that, or just they tell you that there's going to be a new truth that's coming to the planet. It's going to be a new truth. Everybody's going to be singing a different song. That's going to be outside the limitations of Westernized education. So it's going to basically reverse the polarity of all the indoctrination that was, propagated by the education system. So all this stuff is going to be a new truth that basically subjugates the curriculum in the schools, the curriculum in the religion. It's one of those things where, it's kind of like the same thing. Remember when Jesus, when he went to Egypt and he was propagating a certain truth, and that's when the Jesuitites, they basically killed him, because he was bringing a different truth to the planet. So actually, the same thing is going to be taking place as far as these new energies from the Devil's Comet.
Right. What do you personally? I'm just curious, BDell. Now you're obviously tapped in to this information more than the average person. I want to know, you personally, do you feel a difference internally at this time with everything that's going on right now? Is it something, do you feel like a difference from what you're feeling right now versus 5 or 4 or 3 years ago?
Oh, yeah, it's a big time, man. I'm going to tell you what's crazy, because it's something is actually, resurging on the planet. I was in the steam room. It was a older white guy. He was just, because I meditate when I'm in the steam room. I was meditating there for about 30, 45 minutes. And he's like, man, and I'm getting done and I'm, getting out the locker room. He was like, man, I seen you in there meditating. He's like, what's that all about? He said, man, something's been telling me to, tap in, do meditations. He said, man, I've been seeing like black women. And he said, in my peripheral, and he said, I look at them, they gone. And he said, it's like, he said, I see like ancient black women dressed in like gold and stuff like that. He said, I see them and they gone. And it's an older white guy. So yeah, so if something's taking place, like, so where some people are starting to see certain things. Matter of fact, this is also in alignment. Remember, I don't know if you heard about it in the news that they said it was a guy that has been seeing a lot of people who had demonic faces.
Yeah.
You seen that article or whatever? So the same thing is actually taking place because it collaborates with the ether. The ether manipulates the simulation. It manipulates the simulation to where it gives you the true light, to where you can see the true reality that kept us spiritually cut off from the fermented dome. When you're talking about Genesis, when God of the Bible, who was actually Satan, he separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension and created the firmament. Now that firmament is being opened up by the ether that's come in, that Devil's Comet, that's ether. So it's basically manipulating the simulation to where you can see beyond the illusion. It's kind of like the movie They Live. You seen the movie They Live with Ryder Piper?
Yeah.
Because the firmament works in tandem with the electrical grid system. The electrical grid system is being facilitated by technology. As I was telling you before, shape shifting is actually not a tech. It's not a spiritual ability. It's a technology that operates on liquid crystal technology, and that technology is being manipulated by the ether. So it's going to be a common point in time where we're going to be able to see certain things that was basically so-called conspiracy or so-called fiction, because that's how these so-called draconian reptilians or jinns or demons, they're able to hide themselves through the photon-like spectrum. They're able to bend light through a form of technology.
So what do you think when you refer to the jinns, the archons, the demons, they say, I've heard from jinn, that's where we get the word genius. So is that a word or a term you think we shouldn't refer to ourselves as, because jinn comes from genius or genie in a bottle? Like,
it's one of those, like I said, it's a polarity
thing. Okay.
It's a polarity thing.
Right.
So
you know what also, I forgot the gentleman who talks about this. It might be Walter Russell. Me and Blue Pill did a show about Walter Russell. You ever heard of Walter Russell?
No.
Okay,
I think I heard the name, but I never did no research on it.
There's several gentlemen who have done research, and that they say that, we always talking about, we live in an electromagnetic universe. They say that the correct way to say it is we live in a magneto-electric universe instead of saying we live in an electromagnetic universe. You ever heard anything about any of that?
No.
I got to do more research on that. So
I know that. Well, it could be another nomenclature title for the holographic projection from the magneto-hydrodynamic Cassini gaps on the rings of Saturn that project those photons that trap light, which gives you the illusion of physical matter. So that philosophy in itself can actually be working in conjunction to that ideology that you just told me.
No, indeed. I see you got the green Malcolm X.
Yeah. Try to,
Yeah, that's fire. That's definitely fire. So what's going on with this? Do you see any earthquakes possibly happening in us? Because you was talking about the Madrid fault line. That's where the X is being formed of. Is anything we should worry about or know about in terms of earthquakes happening?
Well, as I was telling you before, the Devil's Comet was discovered in 1812, and in 1812 was also the same time the new Madrid fault line was activated, right where the solar eclipse is going to be in the heart of it, where you have Cairo, Egypt, which is in Illinois, and also that is in alignment to 666 as well, because when you take 6 divided by 18, you get 666, because 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. So Cairo, Egypt is also the area code 618. Where are you going to have the heart of where the solar eclipse is going to be taking place? So that's not a coincidence. But you also going to have an activation of seismic zones and things of that nature, because the earthquakes and stuff in itself, like I said, that solar eclipse is going to activate the black sun. Some people say it's the black sun, and some people think that the sun and moon is working in tandem to create the solar eclipse, but it could be one of those things where those energies is activating the black sun inside the planet as well, which is the supersonic battery. So also, when you go to Jonah chapter 3, verse 4, it says that Nineveh shall be overthrown in 40 days. So 40 days from the solar eclipse is actually May 18th. So that is also in alignment. There was a Simpsons cartoon that came out. It was an episode where it showed you the date of 518. 518, and on the top of it had 144,000 on top of it. So it's one of those things where the planet is actually in a state of judgment. So when you go to Jonah 3:4, it says Nineveh shall be overthrown. Nineveh is another title for the word America. Babylon is another codex for the word America. Assyria is another codex for the word America. So when you read the Bible, when you see Nineveh in there, it's not a coincidence, because the solar eclipse goes through 8 cities called Nineveh. And it's going through 7 cities called Salem. And then when I did the numerical components, you get the number 15, which is the 47th Pythagorean theorem of Euclid, which is the bride's chair, which is equated to the queen mother seat. So the queen mother seat is
fast. Hold up. BDell breaking this shit down. Oh shit. Hold on. Say it. No, say that part again.
The 47 problem, the 47 problem of Euclid is a Pythagorean theorem. So I took what I did was I took the numerical sequence of 7 cities in Salem, 8 cities in Nineveh, you get 15. So that is basically the symbology of man, woman, and child when it shows you the sigil system of it. So it's basically talking about the restoration of the matriarch because it's talking about the bride's chair, which is the queen mother seat. The queen mother seat is the matriarch. So these new energies that's coming in by way of the solar eclipse is going to cause a form of destruction in the name of karmic retribution to bring about the restoration of the matriarch.
Whew. You know, we talked about that group who's masquerading and trying to steal somebody's heritage. What about the royal family? How do you think this affects them? This eclipse?
Actually, I did some research on them. The great majority of them, they was born on eclipses a few days after and a few days before. Yep. And then also there was a movie that came out called on the Ides of March, which is March 15th. March 15th was a day when the movie King of Arthur had came out. I forgot the guy's name, but he's on there. It's about a dog. But it's called Arthur the King. The movie just came out on March 15th. So I did the gematria numerical sequence for it. It came back and equated to King George. So all that stuff is basically working in tandem. So like I said, you can't really escape, you know what I'm saying, what's taking place as far as like eschatology, because the numerical sequence of gematria basically matches up with prophecy.
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So somebody in the chat want to know, BDell, which star system do you rep, my brother? Brittany, shout out Brittany. Brittany wants to know which star system do you rep?
Star Polaris, that's a true light. That's what I rep.
Indeed.
That's a true light that's been hidden.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg is his name. He has that movie that came out with a dog. So that's that's what I was referring to.
People are automatically mentioning Nibiru a lot with all this. You know, Nibiru's been mentioned a lot lately. Any connection with Nibiru and what's happening on April 8th or around April 8th?
I don't think that's going to be the resurgence of Nibiru, because it's one of those things where, like, when people, because I understand, you know, the sensationalism when it comes to people like the Anunnaki returning or whatever. Yeah. But like I said, you know, society right now, as far as in order to connect with that galactical family, you know, it's one of those things where, like, they want us to do the edification ourselves in order to have that, to collaborate. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're ready for that right now. So I don't think this stuff is connected to Nibiru or whatever. But like I said, before, during the course of the time of the year of 2030, you're also going to have the resurgence of Nibiru or certain entities that you're going to start seeing or whatever. So over a course of the time, yeah. But as of right now, I don't think this solar eclipse is connected to Nibiru.
Indeed. And what about this? It being this solar eclipse happening in the dragon year? Any things dealing with the dragon and the solar eclipse that we should be aware of?
I think I think the solar eclipse was it was, because I know the fire solar eclipse that was on my birthday, 10/14. That was basically the judgment of the red dragon. That was the fire. The ring of fire solar eclipse was the symbology of judgment. That was the judgment solar eclipse. But the one before that was was when the solar eclipse was in Leo, which is the resurgence of the true Hebrews, or the true people of the true demographic of people of America or whatever.
Indeed. Now, in terms of the, you know, we're talking a lot about America with this solar eclipse. In terms of other parts of the world, how is this? So is the solar eclipse affecting America different, or is the whole world going to get hit the same with this energy from the solar eclipse?
it's going to affect the world because everything has to take place here. Because now this is also connected to the red heifers. Because I was telling you before, if a certain demographic of people is the true people of the so-called of the true people of monotheism and religion or whatever, if they're the true people, then why did you get the red heifers from America and bring them all the way back to Jerusalem? They should already be there, right? So that lets me know that the true people are actually in this true landmass. So like I said, in my opinion, the true Messianic figure, whether it's 144,000, whether it's a man or a woman, they're going to be coming from this geographical landmass. It's not going to be coming from the east. So so like I said, it's one of those things where they try to write their way into prophecy.
Right.
That's why I said you got two different timelines going on.
Right. You said biblical and the cosmic timeline.
You got a cosmic timeline. You got the cosmic timeline connects to nature and matriarch. Then you got a biblical timeline based on patriarchy.
Indeed. You know, somebody asked, I don't know if I have the question still, but somebody asked earlier, I saved it. Okay, yeah. Somebody asked earlier, will this have an effect on animals? What's your thoughts on that, BDell?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's going to basically have most likely the birds, more than likely the birds, because the birds' physiology is connected to the Fibonacci sequence of nature. And their physiology is basically the embodiment of migration and communication. So it's very imperative during that time period to watch birds, watch the language of birds, because they're going to tell you what's going to be taking place on the planet as far as like calamity, desolation, and things of that nature.
Any birds in particular, or just birds?
Just birds in general, or ravens especially, because they represent karmic retribution, and they represent transformation and new beginnings. So,
indeed, yeah, y'all. This is real quick, y'all. Before we continue, I got y'all know I'm doing more and more meditation tracks at night. I got a new meditation track premiering tonight at 11. So this track will run throughout the night. If anybody needs something to play to relieve stress, relaxation, just to tap in or to go to sleep, this music is going to turn into a meditation channel at nighttime. So you can tune in tonight at 11 o'clock. I think it's going to be it's going to be looped from 11 to like 5 or 6 in the morning. So I want all y'all to tap in tonight at 11 for that meditation journey. And it's definitely a journey. So yeah, definitely tap in on that, family. I want to take some questions from y'all because I can't be on here too late tonight for my brother BDell. So give me some more questions in the chat. This Comet. Now, what this Comet had horns on it or something, BDell?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying. But like I said, I don't really, believe anything that comes from westernized philosophy, and I take everything they say with a grain of salt because they done lied about everything. So
right.
I don't really believe is what they say.
Definitely. Let's get to shout out to Edward with the super chat. Let me ask this question from Edward. What are steps we could take to use the energy for prosperity for the rest of the year?
Detachment. Put yourself in alignment. Like I said, when you study the Sufi order of the Sons of Green Light, when you want to tap into the spirit of Melchizedek, there's a process that you go through. You got to go through a process of self-realization where you become a neophyte. And then that's when it puts you in alignment to where you become an adept. And after you become an adept, you become a master. So you have to understand the art of detachment and do your shadow work and face those traumatic experiences that basically subjugated your energy. So self-realization is the first step.
Okay. Let's get to some more questions. I see the questions coming in. Let me put BDell on the full screen while we get to some of these questions from the family. When will us for 144,000 get our powers?
Everybody want them powers, right? But it's one of those things where, as I was saying, when you understand westernized technology is basically emulation of who we are. So the 144,000 is not only subjected to a certain demographic, it's also talking about the activation of the Christ consciousness, which basically is the neuroendocrine transducer. Those are the 144,000 crystals in the brain that put you in alignment for transmutation. by transmutating from carbon to crystallization, right? Because the carbon body is a electromagnetic generator and a light code transducer. And that light code is when you get the ether that's coming in, that's merging in with the carbon. So when you merge the carbon in with the ether, that's when you're able to reap the benefits of your so-called powers, when the veil is being lifted. When you're talking about psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, different kinetic abilities.
Indeed. Yeah, that sounds powerful, y'all. And when this happens, BDell, I'm just curious, does our color change? Like, is our color associated with different consciousnesses? So just like a tree, when it's dying, when it's alive, it goes from brown, green, whatever. So if we're going from carbon base to crystalline base, does that also represent a color change within us as humans?
That's a possibility, because when you look at like Hulk, he was green. That was the epitome of gamma radiation.
Right.
That's what ether is. Ether is gamma radiation.
Mm.
Christ consciousness, that's gamma radiation. The seventh letter of the alphabet is G, which is connected to God. The God frequency is the gamma radiation. So it's also connected to the, like I said, it's a possibility, because they said that melanin at its highest component is actually green, not black. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah. We getting a lot of science on green today, y'all. A lot of science on green. Let's get to another question. Somebody is saying, what is the planet being seen under sun?
What?
I don't know. But I guess he's saying there's a planet being seen under the sun. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
All right. Let's get to the next question. Shout out to Jermaine for the super chat. Appreciate it. Peace gods. If English is a collective spell of many languages, could or would we possibly be more precise if we translated these sciences and metaphysics into our native ancient tongues?
Yes, because this is connected to the Ethereum frequency that's coming in now. We have to tap into tonal languages. Tonal languages is all connected to the alphabetical symmetry of light. So that means that the European Albion dialect is actually acidic to the body. So because it's basically electrical. So when you want to tap into tonal languages, it contains a certain octave vibration. So ancient Proto-Semitic, ancient Moabite, because all those languages have an octave frequency to where it basically extracts carbon and silicone, right? Because it's highly magnetic. Anything that has a form of high magnetism, it collaborates with the ethers, and it basically creates a certain vibration to where you're able to manipulate the timeline by speaking certain things into existence.
Powerful. Let's get to this next question. Let me see. Give me 1 second, y'all. Somebody wants to know, should I diet or fast around April 8th?
I think it's imperative that you fast, because, like I said, we in the 8th year. It's the symbology of building and destroying. So you want to destroy everything that's not conducive to your anatomy. You want to fast, like I said, fasting during this time, fast from food, alcohol, sex, and you transmutate that energy in a form of alchemy. Transmutate that negative frequency and use it in the form of positive energy. Use that energy that you would do all those things, go use it to do something that's basically self-affirming, as far as working out, go read, you know what I'm saying? Do something that's going to basically put you in alignment to where you can get the influx of energy that's coming to the planet.
Okay. Carbon wants to know, what is the significance of cats during this time?
Well, cats are able to see in different dimensions. They're not only subjected to the three-dimensional paradigm, they can see into the fourth, the fifth dimension. They can tap into the quantum realm. So it's one of those things where if you have pet cats, they will be able to see different entities, or be able to sense a certain energy that's basically they can basically be detrimental to you. So it's a good time to have cats. I don't have cats. I've never really had pets before. So yeah.
Okay.
That's just my perspective.
How does the retrograde and the peak of the new moon that happens at the same time as the eclipse affect us?
Oh yeah, it's going to be an influx of emotional energy on the planet. So you have to be very imperative of those who don't have their neurological faculties in alignment, because, like I said, it can give people the propensity to be turn them into a lunatic. So you got to be very meticulous about people, because there's going to be people going crazy because these new energies. If you're not in alignment, it can make you go crazy. These new energies that's coming in, it can basically turn people insane.
Okay. Let's see. A lot of people keep asking about looking in the sun. We talked about that earlier, family. You gotta rewind the video for that. Let me see. I'm trying to get to some. A lot of these questions he answered already. Somebody wants to know, how will the collective come together when the time approaches?
It's got to be one of those things where it's going to be activated by way of abomination of a desolation. So it's going to be a form of destruction that's going to bring people together. As I tell people all the time, there's a delineation between warning people and fear mongering. I told one of my videos, I said something was going to happen around March 25th and 26th, and it actually did. I said it a month before, and then you had the I forgot the bridge in Baltimore. It basically collapsed, the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
Right.
And I had said something about that a month before. So, like I said, it's one of those. Excuse me.
What you had said? What made you say something about that?
Because I know during this time period, it's a ritualistic time for the elites. Because it's during the time when they do a lot of sacrifice as far as like celebrities. Because I know around this time they sacrificed what's his face, Nipsey Hussle. Back in 2018 or 2019, and then that's when you seen him on the white horse. You just had Beyonce on the white horse recently when she had when she showed the 3 tassels on the flag. So, like I said, it's one of those things where, as far as like a cosmic convergence, which is the precursor to the harmonic convergence of the 144,000, when you're talking about a certain demographic of people, can't nobody, you know what I'm saying, we're going to come together. It's one of those things like, you ever heard of like when people just come together when it's a funeral, or they come together only once a year when it's a reunion or whatever? The same thing is actually going to take place as far as like you coming together in a form of unity with your true tribes. So the planet's got to be in a state of desolation in order for everybody to come together. Because at the point in time right now, we're a lot of us are put in certain places for a reason, to raise up the vibrational frequency and the consciousness on certain geographical areas. That's why some of us, you might be the only one in your city who think the way you do, and you might meet somebody online and y'all might be on the same vibration. There's a reason for that. You place in that geographical area for a reason. You're supposed to raise up the vibrational frequency of that area.
Do you think the whole Diddy thing going on, is dominating news headlines? Is that something, some type of distraction from the eclipse? Is that some type of sacrifice they're making? Is it connected with any of this at all?
Well, he did have an album that just came out not too long ago called Off the Grid. Off the Grid is also symbolic to the grid shutting down. So now, like when you're talking about the bridge collapse, they said it was an EMP that basically manipulated that and took all the power out of the ship, and it hit the bridge, right? So it's one of those things where, as far as like P. Diddy, as I was telling you before, when you go to a 1813 Freemasonic Apocryphal Bible, it tells you that the year 2024 is essentially the year 6000. The year 6000 is the end of the purification period of the Babylonian beast system. So everything as far as like Babylonian practices is connected to trafficking, it's connected to sacrificing, it's connected to all these things. So that means that those enterprises are actually shutting down. So all these celebrities that was tapped into it, Nickelodeon, P. Diddy, all these celebrities, they're getting exposed for it because their time is up, because we're going through reset.
Right. No, definitely, definitely. A lot of people are asking about grounding. What's your thoughts on, is grounding super beneficial around this time?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, you want to get the energy from the black sun. Some people say it's the black sun that's in the eclipse, or some people don't believe that. Like I said, the black sun is the womb of creation. It's the supersonic battery of planet Earth. If to ground yourself during the solar eclipse, that's really good to do because you get that energy coming in.
Damn, BDell, if it really is the black sun in the sky, I might have to look at that. Shit. I
I know,
can't
right?
pass that one up. If it's the black sun,
Yeah,
shit, the womb of creation, that sounds tempting, my brother.
most
Uh,
definitely.
yeah, let's continue. Gonna do about three more questions, then brother Rich gotta get out of here, family. Amazing show, man. I appreciate y'all for being on here and BDell for doing what he do. Glad I got this brother on here to talk about this. Let's see. Somebody wants to know: is it good to ground on mounds?
Oh yeah, I go to angel mounds. I go to sacred sites because one thing you got to understand about mounds, all throughout the indigenous matriarch, mounds were basically uh, they were basically supercharged stations for UFOs back during that time
Mm,
period. So they're basically like uh, a they basically like a microcosm of a pyramid. So that's why the great majority of like all the mounds or whatever, they're basically an emulation of pyramids, just on a lower level. So it's good to ground if you got like ancient sites like Native American sites or whatever. Go to those sites and they got mounds in those areas. They have a lot in the St. Louis area, in Cairo, Illinois, and Little Egypt, Southern Illinois. There's a lot of mounds and things of that nature. So if you have some in your area, it's imperative that you go get those energies.
indeed, indeed. All right, all right. Somebody in Ohio wants to know, how does it affect people right in the X zone? Are they affected differently?
The X zone.
I guess right in the middle of it, where
I think it's gonna be the same because it's gonna be in the same pathway because it goes through. I think it goes through a great majority of Ohio. So I think it's gonna be it's gonna be at the apex of a certain energy. So I think it's gonna be the same energy all across the board.
right,
I would
right,
assume so. I don't know.
indeed. Somebody said, according to the show Dark on Netflix, time is God. What's your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
Well, I actually did. That's a I agree because when you look at the word chronos, and when you clock into work, some of these time clocks when you clock in is called chronos, and chronos is actually connected to chronology. Chronos is the god of Saturn, so chronos and chronology, which is also connected to Kratos. Kratos is another title of the suffix of the word democracy. Krasi, Kratos is basically the same thing because that's basically the god of Saturn or the Canaanite god. And we
Mm,
already broke it down. The word God is actually a Babylonian deity when you go to the Strong Concordance H1408, because the word God comes from the word Gad, which is a Babylonian deity, which is equated to Moloch and Baal. When you go
mm,
to Strong Concordance 1180, when
mm.
you're talking about Yahweh, Yahweh
Right.
translates all the way back to Moloch.
So you don't use that term God.
I say Most High.
Most High.
Yeah, I say Most High.
Okay.
But there's a difference though, because you get in the Bible and all throughout monotheistic teachings that shows you the word God. You got God in all caps. You
Yeah.
got God with a capital G with lowercase letters. Then you got God with all lowercase letters.
Right. Right.
A lot of people who are stuck in religion, they don't understand the diametrical differences between those words because those are different titles talking
Yeah.
about different deities.
Indeed. All right. Next question. How can we help our kids tap into the energy of the eclipse?
I guess ground. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way. Ground, and what I'm saying, just like I said, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is nothing. You ain't gotta do nothing. You know what I'm saying? You want to chill on the couch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You let the kids play outside or whatever, but
Mhm. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, a lot of y'all just keep asking about looking at the eclipse. He talked about that a little earlier.
yeah, because you can't escape the energy. So hello?
Right. Yeah. I pressed
Okay,
mute.
okay.
Yeah, no, I pressed mute by accident. Let me see. Do you think Thoth will return with us in any capacity during this time? Or America is his land?
Yeah, I think, like I said, this is actually one of those things where they know, because it's not a coincidence that I don't know if it's an old video, but I see it around online. They said that Vladimir Putin, he showed you the Black Christ or whatever, and showed it that he was actually a certain, a so-called black man.
Right.
Now, as I was telling you before, there's going to be a certain energy on the planet to where it's going to activate somebody, and they're going to bring about a certain truth, and they're going to be castigated for it by the plutocracy, because it's basically going to destabilize their false messianic figure.
Right.
That's why they trying to, what I'm saying, that with the red heifer sacrifice before April 8th or whatever, before the solar eclipse. So you ever seen just like the show Avatar? Avatar, he was basically your personification of the Son of Man, or the personification of Tahuti or Thoth. He was basically the personification of that ideology. But what I'm saying, he did not know he was that until what I'm saying, people had to tell him. He didn't want to step into that paradigm. He did, what I'm saying, he didn't want to give the people the edification on how to reverse the polarity from the Fire Nation. So the same thing is actually taking place. Some, like I said, these new energies that's coming in from the Devil's Comet, some, like I said, it can activate a certain demographic, or it can activate a certain person to where they're going to bring about a certain truth to this planet. So, like I said, you got a cosmic clock timeline, then you got a biblical timeline that's taking place.
Amazing.
So that's why,
Amazing.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, there's a whole lot of repeat questions. Let me see. Okay, let me just ask this last super chat. This is the last question, the super chat question. Thanks for the super chat. Does the solar flares affect vision? The past month, I've had pressure between my eyebrows. I woke up Sunday morning and my vision is more colorful.
Oh yeah, most definitely, because the optic nerve is connected to the brain. So, like I said, your neurological faculties is what gives you the ability to see beyond the illusion. So, just as much as you getting those energies from from the light spectrum, it's probably causing an activation to the light spectrum of your eyes, to where you can see certain things that you wasn't able to see during the time period as we were subjugated under the three-dimensional illusion. So, it could be one of those things where you're basically being activated, as far as your vision.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Listen, family, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. BDell, man, absolutely amazing job, my brother. I want to thank you for coming on here tonight. Tell the people your YouTube channel, because I know you got some good videos on there as well. Tell them once again for the folks who came late.
My YouTube channel is at BDell1014. It's not D Bell. People call me D Bell. They get it mixed up. It's not D Bell. It's BDell. BDELL1014.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah,
All right. And with that being said, family, make sure you tune in 11 o'clock tonight. I got a meditation track playing throughout the night. So if you want to tap in, like I said, relaxation, deep sleep, meditation, tap into that theta wave frequency. Make sure you come back to the channel 11 o'clock at night, and it'll go until about 5 in the morning. With that being said, BDell, man, absolutely amazing show, brother. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, bro. It's always a joy hearing you spit this knowledge the way you do, brother. Keep up the great work. I'm gonna stay tuned to your Instagram and your YouTube, and I'll see you soon, my brother.
All right, peace.
All right, peace, BDell. Peace, family.